to She's Got Time presents the Space MakHER series. I'm Swin Cash, and today we're spotlighting an ally who doesn't just take up space. They help women build, own, and make room for others to rise in sports. That lovely ally is my husband, Steve Canal. Welcome to the series.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and sharing your space.
Yes. Well, I'm sharing my space too. And before we get to that, I want to say Steve is the co-founder of One Venture Group. And if you don't know who he is, Google him.
Facts.
We like to play a lot, y'all. So this is going to be a fun series for me. I wanted to have you on because I think a lot of times people talk to women in sports, and a lot of times you may have a husband, a partner, somebody there that's with you in the thick of it. Obviously, you've been in it with me for 10 plus years now, and actually 14 if you count dating. Yes, yeah. That whole courtship. Yep. It lasted a little longer than it should have. I just want you to know that. If I haven't told you.
Just on time.
Perfection. But let's talk about, for myself, I came to you in 2022 as I was preparing for the Hall of Fame. And I said to you, I have this idea that God placed on my heart, and it's around kind of She's Got Time. And I want to support and create this ecosystem for women in sports. And I'll never forget, and I tell this story a lot because it's funny, is because you looked at me and you said, you must really want to do this because you don't ask me for anything.
That's a fact.
So in that moment, you hear me give you this great idea. And I feel like I have good ideas a lot of times, right?
You do.
Okay.
Definitely do.
What made you feel this idea was the right timing to support it? And from the ground, from the mud, I say we got it out the mud because One Venture Group was there, your company, and supporting us when, this was just kind of an idea.
Yeah, just knowing you from the very beginning. You've accomplished and achieved success at every level, right? From high school to college to being a professional, being an executive, being in the front office. And for you to come up and say, hey, this is something that I really want to pour my all into. I knew it was something that needed to happen. Not just for you, but creating a space for other women to experience, some of the things you've been able to accomplish and experience, because it takes an ally, it takes, mentors, it takes champions to want to invest and pour into somebody,
Yeah. And I want to give y'all the raw, we're going to have this conversation because I do want my husband to be able to share, because it's important to have conversations because we've had conversations throughout, and we talk about building this company and making it accessible and creating this ecosystem, but having this media arm and what does it look like? And then we start hiring people. Right. But you're cutting check after check, and I'm working. I have a job. I'm in the NBA. We're hiring people. You have a full-on job with One Venture Group, and you guys are having festivals and all these tours and things going on. Where was there ever any tension around it? And how did it feel being I'm going to continue to support my wife, not only financially, but emotionally, all these different things, because I actually believe in what she's trying to do? Yeah,
you painted the bigger picture, right? You wanted to create a space for women to have a platform, right? Not only in attending, She's Got Time Women in Sports Summit, but with the network, being able to communicate with each other. And when I was in corporate, I was in those, offices. I was in those tables when we were allocating budgets and where those dollars were going to, right? And being in your world, I saw the opportunity. It was just, what was missing was the storytelling. What was missing was the access and the opportunity. What was missing was the investment from corporations investing in women and women and sports, right? And being able to be in a position where I can put my foot forward and my resources. I wanted to do that because I knew not only was it important to you, but what you always say is just good business, right? Investing in women and women in sports, particularly. So I wanted to continue to push forward, even though, we're trying to, finalize statements of work with businesses and finalize tours and finalize, releasing a lineup for our festival for 100,000 people. I knew what was important for me, what was important for you, what was important for our household, and most importantly, what was important for women. Right?
Yeah. And so I've always loved that about you, because even when we were dating while I was still playing in the WNBA, you always had this full on sense of the women deserve whatever the men are getting, and that's from just the corporate commitment of dollars. Because I saw you put a lot of WNBA girls on, and we're not going to mention names and talk about that, but you didn't have to. And I saw you give opportunities for appearances and cutting checks. And so I always loved that about you, but I always felt, and I'll say this, is that if you look at the women around you growing up, I kind of knew also where it came from. And so, ladies, you're out there searching for a husband and a partner. You want to make sure, you get to that mama, you get to the sisters and everybody else and the people that are around them. And that tells you a lot. So
it does. Like, just being here for this weekend, my sister flew in from New York, and my cousin flew in from New York, and I have family that flew in from all parts of the country because they wanted to support you and the platform. But for me investing in and supporting women within the W, and it wasn't a charity, right? It was because women's basketball is the purest form of basketball.
Okay,
right?
Say it with your chest, baby.
when just the sets that you run, jump shots, 3-pointers, driving to the basket, like, it isn't built on just the entertainment factor of throwing alley-oops and dunking.
I know, but
right?
baby, let's keep it real with the people, because he is also grew up in New York, and so when the Knicks are on, he tries to fake like he's not upset about something. You be having those little Stephen A. tendencies, and I'll be looking at you. I mean, 6 years I was working with the Pelicans, and he, ride or die with your girl.
Hey.
But when those Knicks came on,
I'm a supporter of the team. That's where I grew up, and we're different about our teams, right?
Yes, yeah. You think New York,
but still, like, the women's game is the purest form, right?
You've always supported, and always said that.
That opportunity needed to be there, so I wanted to do my part.
Yes. Am I making you a little nervous?
Not at all.
Okay,
I'm good.
All right, good. So another question I have for you, and there's a lot of talk right now, and I want you to answer this question if you can, just how you approach it. Just for me, we look at a lot of the hate that's online for not only female athletes, but, of course, we love Angel Reese and some of the things that she's gotten. And I've been a little frustrated, and I haven't spoken publicly, because I feel like if I spoke publicly, it's like every day I'll be going at somebody. Right. And you also have to protect your energy and your mind. But as a Black man, is it frustrating, or what? No, I know it's frustrating for you, but can you just maybe address how people, instead of taking the easy route to just pile on a situation, how somebody can show up as a positive force, like I would say Ryan Clark did, in support of women? Because you've been around the W, because I played, what these women have to go through and how they are putting the work in for their careers. And what does it mean to be an ally in that capacity? I want you to talk about that, because I think you're positioned well to do that. Yeah,
it's more than just talking about it. You have to live it. And in order to make impact, you have to live it and be an example for people to see, right? Because we're all in chat groups, we all talk, we all have opinions, and there's so much information and clutter that's out there. Like, you have people who wake up and their job is to just hate. Like, that's their job. They want to leave comments. They want to be negative because that's what makes them feel good. Or those negative comments are going to get a response or a reaction that could benefit them. Right. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's fact what they're saying. But for me, I try to live by the example of impacting my community and the people that are around me. So through educating and through actually living through it. So when I say something, they see it resonate through my social platforms. They see it resonate through our conversations. And there's more truth and validation in what I'm saying because they know I live it. Right. So when they see me and you and the family at WNBA All-Star, or they see us at different the Olympics or different platforms, and we're around the space, they know that I'm bringing a different opinion and a different fact to the situation that holds and bodes a level of respect. So the impact is there more. So I lean to impact in my community, and I allow them to create a halo effect where they're going to take my truth and share it with their friends, right, in their community. And hopefully that spreads. I know I'm not, Stephen A. or I'm not Ryan Clark, and I don't have a platform as big as them, but I know the people that are around my space that I can make an impact, that'll make a difference.
I love that. And that's what people need to do is like make an impact in your area, like social media and people chasing and what our niece and nephews always talking about, cap that happens. Oh, you like that, baby?
Youthful.
Different, very, very youthful. But I want you to just quickly speak on something because we talk about this, but I don't think everybody else gets to really hear it. You are so comfortable and confident in any space. And I can come in like a ball of fire. Like when I walk in a room, and that's the energy that my grandma would say, walk in with your head up high, your chin up, and you walk in with your chest because you are who God says you are. Right. And so sometimes I'll walk into a room and in a space and it makes other people uncomfortable, or I get labeled stereotypes because I'm comfortable in who I am. You've always walked in with me and you've been this silent strength, and I know it, and that's why I love you and we're married. But there's been other men that may see that as, well, how could he be with this type of woman? And so there are a lot of women within She's Got Time that are strong, that are getting to it, that are bosses, but that shouldn't change the dynamic of the relationship. Can you speak on that? Because I think you're positioned well to do that.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of insecure people in the world, right? That have to battle with those insecurities and they don't deal with it head on, right? I grew up, as you mentioned, around women, mothers, nieces, cousins, who are all strong and, walk with confidence from a day to day. So I was afforded the opportunity to see that, understand it, and know the value of that. Right? Where an insecure person is intimidated by that. They fear that because it makes to them, they feel as if other people see them as weak.
Okay. Well, let me ask you a question around that. What advice would you give to maybe, a woman who's with She's Got Time, or any woman that's out there listening, if they may feel a certain thing from their relationship, they've gotten a promotion, something else has happened, because we've always cheered for each other. Like if you got something popping off, I'm cheering for you. All right, here we go. I got something happening. It's just that some of the times the things that I've had happening, a lot of people get to see, right? But I move over to your world and entertainment and festivals and marketing, and I'm walking into spaces and some people don't even know who I am, but they're like, yo, that's my man, Steve Canal. And it's hilarious because I love it, because that's your world and you've invited me in and we cheer for each other. What advice could you give to maybe a woman out there like, hey, she's thinking, I'm in a relationship, and this isn't a relationship podcast, but I think you're positioned well to talk about it. Yeah. Is what advice could you give with challenges that may be?
I think something that you taught me, because I wasn't always the best at communication, and you taught me how to communicate, and being able to talk about the bigger picture and what that means brings tremendous value to a relationship, because again, there are a lot of insecurities that are gonna, pour into your relationship, but painting the bigger picture of what your goals are and what you're trying to accomplish. Like from day one, I knew what you were trying to accomplish. It was bigger than just playing basketball, right? You leverage the sport to continue to grow and make an impact, and being able to communicate with each other, and you sharing what that vision was allowed me to see the bigger picture, to know like you're working towards something bigger. So I need to protect that. Right. But I also knew that you respected and valued my position and what my goals were. So we built a plan together to build on that. So I think when you get into a relationship with a man, knowing the strength that you're bringing to a relationship, the goals that you have, that you're trying to accomplish, we all grow within a relationship, and as you become more successful, you change as a human being.
Right.
So that person that you met from day one isn't going to be the person that you are in year 7 and 10. Right. So you have to continually communicate, and be clear with that line of communication, so that person that's across from you isn't sidetracked.
Listen, he's telling you the truth when he talks about people changing, because we actually met. We're gonna tell you a quick story.
Oh my God.
We actually met. Oh yeah, we're gonna go
Which
there.
version are you going to share?
We're gonna share the version I always share.
How about share the
accurate
truth
one?
Share the true version.
The accurate version. Steven, yeah, no. This is the accurate version. I have pictures. Okay, right. Thank you. Do you remember, love? We met AAU trip. Shout out to Boo Williams down in Virginia.
Yes.
Steve and I met. It was before I was deciding between UConn and Tennessee. So your girl was trying to figure life out. I was trying to figure it out. And everybody's like, Pat Summit, Gino, you got to go here. You got to go there. So, my team and Steve's team, some of the guys from Steve's team.
Shout out to Riverside Church in New York.
Yes, y'all. We connected and everybody's there and hanging out at the hotel. And Steve and I just started talking. Well, I started talking. You were doing a great job of listening. You were doing a great job.
I was doing a great job of listening because I knew you fell in love instantly. So I had to do my part and let you pour your love into my ears.
So he's ad-libbing onto this conversation. Steve was very quiet. He just listened to me. He had this very stoic face. And I was like, oh, this must be God sending somebody to just let me just pour it out. And so we did. And so we had a great conversation. Gave Steve my number, okay? Wrote it down on a piece of paper. Holla at your girl. This was before two-way pagers and all those things. He never called. Thank
God.
Thank God. Why you say thank God? See, this happens every time.
Because we wouldn't be here right now if I did.
Okay.
You were going to college. I was going to college.
So fast forward in this whole conversation, he didn't call. He went to Fordham, played basketball. I went to UConn, played basketball. Fast forward 15 years later, he slides up in my DMs and he says, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but your team's coming to Atlanta. I'd like to invite you all out to this event that I'm having in Atlanta.
Because, see, you leaving this part out, I was such a supporter of the WNBA, right? I was in Atlanta, the Atlanta Dream. I knew the schedule, and y'all were flying from Seattle, all the way from Seattle to Atlanta. That doesn't make sense to invite y'all to come out.
You hadn't spoken to me in 15 years.
I was waiting
for... You actually threw the paper away. You didn't even holler.
It's
so
all
let's
about
fast
the
forward
timing.
from that. I go into the locker room in Seattle. I'm like... Pull up in the locker room. Y'all not gonna believe this. Yes, I'm gonna tell all the OG7s, my girls, Sue, Ashley, Camille, Tanisha, Lacole, Lauren, all of y'all, everybody. I told them what happened. They start going down a whole rabbit hole. Oh, Atlanta? Yo, he's involved in this. We saw his parties, this online, da-da-da-da. So needless to say, fast forward, we get to Atlanta. They all say, they're going to be there. Long story short, Ashley Robinson was the only true friend I had. Yes, the only true friend that day. That when we got to Atlanta, she went out and got some sushi with Steve and I. And the rest is history. And we started talking.
You're leaving out after that moment. You guys went on a historic run and won a championship.
We won a championship, and that was all because of you, baby.
You're welcome.
Oh. Okay. So that is kind of our relationship buttoned up right there, and that's how we met each other. And as you can see, we like to share. We like to have some laughs. We don't do this a lot publicly because actually, even before we got married, I had some friends that we dropped our picture online, and they were like, what? Like old teammates, they were like, you were dating him? I thought he was the homie. And sometimes I'm going to tell you, loves, ladies, that's how you got to keep it. All right. Keep it to yourself. Enjoy your relationships, because even more so now, right, with society, it can be challenging.
Oh, yeah. You put anything out there and people are there to tear it up. Right. Mm-hmm. But for me, I see it as a form of strength, being able to put our lived experiences on social, because there also needs to be examples. Yeah. Right. People need to see, a healthy relationship, growing a family, children, both excelling in their careers, and that is possible. Right. Yeah. Even though, we still have our things day to day, but it still people still need to know that there's light, there's hope, there's opportunity. And we try to, share that as much as we can. We don't share everything, but yeah.
But you know what? I got another one for you, because earlier I asked you to talk to the women and share some stuff with the women. But before we get to that, I'm gonna need you to talk to the men out there. talk to a man out there that may be dating or married to a woman who has a career in sports. And what can you share about our journey or your journey that he can learn from you? Because what I'm going to need is for some of my ladies to button this conversation up, and they may need to take it home and share it or share it online. And so speak directly to the guys.
Yeah, for the men out there, a positive, amazing relationship, think of it like being in a business room, right? Diversity of thought and being able to take on amazing ideas and take on insight and learn. That's how your business grows. That's how the bottom line grows. You have to have diversity of thought. So being closed-minded to a positive, strong, relationship is it's not gonna help you. You're living in your comfort zone, and magic does not happen out, in the comfort zone. It happens outside of the comfort zone, right? So you have to get uncomfortable. You have to be in situations where all eyes aren't on you, right? Where you're getting in a relationship where you don't have all the answers. You're getting in a relationship when you thought your closet and what you wore was hot until your wife, upgrades you and tells you why you should be investing in these pieces and what you should be wearing.
Okay, I feel like that was that.
You definitely made me step up my life, right? Like it was, now it's all, it's tailored, it's custom, it's investing in pieces, it's doing things that makes business sense in addition to that.
Well,
right?
if we're not uplifting each other, and you exactly
what are you doing?
For me, I think a lot of people don't understand this is that I come from the basketball side in operations, and a lot of what I also learned in can just mimicking and learning and talking with you is on the business side. And so my brain, although it can build a roster out and talk about how a guy can play or how a female can play and look at their game, I also understand how the business side ties in and how we're trying to market and grow the organization. And a lot of that is because I've been sitting next to the blueprint for a very, very long time. So
I appreciate that.
I do. And so speaking of the blueprint, ladies, I just want to drop this small little gem on y'all, because I don't know about any of y'all, but I don't know if you've come home and your husband says, we wanted to have a little conversation, or your boyfriend or your partner or your girl, they say, hey, we want to have a little conversation. And then they proceed to tell you, oh yeah, I wrote a book. It's going to come out in about 2 weeks. Say what? So can we talk about the book first?
Well, the first book that became a #1 seller, you were pregnant at the time.
Oh yeah, I remember.
You were pregnant at the time.
You were pivoting out of corporate America, and I was pregnant, and you were like, yeah, I'm gonna just go ahead and, do this entrepreneur thing right now. I said, oh really? Okay. I support you. We
birthed 2 babies in August that month.
Yes.
The book and Saint. This time around, you was traveling, you was working hard on the road. So, I needed some time to, realign and focus. The concept first came around COVID, but getting to 2025 and really seeing the landscape of where everything was, I just really felt like it was the time to release the book. And it was more so people in my DM, people calling me, people texting me like, yo, we need a second book. So that was the sacrifice, to be able to put it out, which I'm glad I did, because it's going ham right now, and people are really appreciating it.
And I want to tell you, and you say it's going ham, but I want to tell you, ladies, this is the reason why I personally asked my husband to come on this series called Space MakHER. And we're going to ask him that question here in a second. But it's because some of y'all were in my DMs asking me, was his book going to be available at the summit? And I was like, yeah, let me check on that and ask him. I didn't think about it. But how dope is that, where, I love the fact that I see that women are following me, but they were in my DMs like, hey, is your husband's book going to be there? Because we curate kind of a library for women to purchase books of our speakers and people that support. Yeah. We try to give an opportunity for others to also have their moment and for people to connect. And so tell us about the name of the book. You told us how you got there writing the book, but the name was so timely that I thought it was hilarious that at the time as I was pivoting out of my last job in the NBA, that he just drops a book and people literally thought and asked me the question, "Ooh, yeah, Steve just dropped that book. Was that?" And I'm like, y'all cannot be serious. You understand how long it takes to write a book. No, my husband didn't come up with a cover. I know he's good, like real good, but he ain't that good. Okay, he ain't come up with a cover and it wasn't targeted at anybody. This is about him and I'm supporting him. So if you see me with the shirt on of the book, hold the book up, babe, because it says, take a deep breath and remember who the you are. It's because I'm supporting my husband. Now, if you feel some kind of way and you see that and you feel that, that's a you thing, not a me thing. But let's talk about the book. Tell them real quick.
Yeah, take a deep breath and remember who you are. It's the blueprint, just in case you forgot, right? And I feel like over these years, we've forgotten who we were and who we are. So I wanted to write a book that had 52 reflections, so you can flip through the book, you can read from any part, any reflection that has quotes. And lived experiences that are tied to the quotes. So me being, a college basketball player, me being a husband, me being a father, me being an entrepreneur, me being working in corporate America, I'm sharing all those insights that help me get through those phases of my life, because at those moments, at that time, I remembered who I was and I knew who I was, which allowed me to achieve within those spaces. But I feel like, this year and this, leading up to this, we've kind of lost ourselves, right? Because there's so much coming at us and life happens. And we tend to, align with the beginning and the end and trying to achieve a goal, but we forget to live. We forget that dash in the middle, which is life, right? And experiencing it and learning from those experiences. So these are daily reminders of who you are and if you get lost, how to get back. Right. And all that is in the book. I've had men, I've had women, I've had older, folks, I've had younger folks who all see a reflection of themselves within the book. And that's what I wanted. I wanted people to read the book and see a reflection and understand like, oh, that's what that feeling was and how to get back to that.
Well, the thing I love about not only the book is the fact that when you share and you walk into spaces, like people are connected and they feel your energy. You give love, you show love. But y'all keep in mind, it's those quiet ones you got to watch. Okay.
Biggie said it best. Spread love. It's the Brooklyn way. Got to spread that love. And
I love how not only you love our family, but also your heritage and your culture and being Haitian and making sure our values are connected always is so important, but also sharing that with everyone else. And so this book is going to be available at the summit. It's available online. Go get your copy. You can go to stevecanal.com. You also can get it off of Amazon. But just know my husband is putting a lot of love into the world, and I am here for it. Before we get out of here, I got two more questions for you. One, what does a space maker mean to you? And how, as an ally, can you create even more space?
Yeah, space maker is somebody who, tries to create opportunities, not because they feel like they have to. It's because they want to, because they fully grasp and understand the meaning of what it is to create space, especially for women, right? Again, diversity of thought is not just good business. It just makes the world better, right? Being able to create opportunities for people to tap into, because there's so many talented people in the world that don't get a shot, don't get an opportunity, and the world is missing out because that thought, that idea, that concept, that new energy isn't given a platform to create. Right. So, it's important to create space, and it's important to be an ally, because, this world wasn't made in just one build, right? This world was made of a variation of creations for a reason, right? So if you have that power, you have the resources, hoarding it, you're doing yourself a disservice. You may feel good because you can do what you want in that moment, but it's going to be very pale and very vanilla, You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you need to add the flavor, you need to add the spice, you need to add the color, you know, for you to start living life. Like how boring is it to be, you know, the richest man in Babylon or the richest man in the world, right? And not be able to tap into the purities of life because you're creating fences around your world and your mind, right? And not affording opportunities for others that are going to paint the beautiful picture that you can experience.
Y'all heard it right there, y'all. My husband dropping gems. And as you can hear, you heard, he said, I'm a little spicy. Okay. Okay.
Caliente.
Caliente. Okay. Last question before we get out of here.
You said two. That was two questions.
No. I have one more because you made me think about it.
All right.
You have two young boys.
I do.
Saint and Sire.
We have
two young boys, Saint and Sire. But you're a man. They are two young Black boys. And I want you to think about what wasn't told to you that you would want to say to them about how they're being raised to not only be thought leaders, but how they also can support women and how they should walk in this world and in this life.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think at this age, 4 and 7, they're very impressionable. They're learning a lot. They're tapping into a lot. But you always say, especially like Sire, our younger, like he's tapping into his emotions. He's learning how to feel. And I think it's important for them to get that energy from you, right? As a woman, you know, to display that strength, to display that, you know, that energy for them to grasp, because I feel there's going to get a point where a lot of that's going to come towards me, and I'm gonna have to be ready to pour into them that masculine energy. But I feel, what
does that masculine energy looks like? Because I think people, they sometimes get that twisted and they're just like, oh, masculine energy means we're men, da 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 da. Like, we're raising boys to like know that there are these things. Like they can feel, they can be emotional, but like I also want them to be able to lead and advocate and say, hey, diversity of thought in my room is important. Yeah, I see it in my dad.
Yeah, 100%. I want them to be protectors and display that energy and still have the capacity to show emotion. Right. I don't want it to just be rah, rah, rah all the time. Right. Like I want you to be able to feel emotion. I want you to be able to cry and feel like it's okay. Right. So getting that energy from both of us and that balance to me is the most important piece. Right. So having those values poured into our boys, it's important for them to just have, again, that diversity of thought and just know that you're not going to have all the answers, and you're going to need to be able to communicate. You're going to need to display and show strength and be a protector, but you're also going to be in a position and you're going to need to show emotion and you're going to show feeling as well. Yeah. Right. And have that balance. So it's important to have that balance, you know, especially as they're growing up.
I love that. And thank you again to my husband, Steve Canal, co-founder of One Venture Group. You guys could go follow him online at Steve Canal, all the things. Some of you already do, probably even more than me, but that's okay. You know, I'm not judging. No judgment here. But thank you so much for joining us, love.
Absolutely.
We probably should do this more often.
We should. Thanks for having me. This was great.
It probably won't happen for another 5 to 10 years, but it's all good. Listen, you know, these conversations are important. They're about leadership, a legacy, and, you know, what it means to be a space maker. And so for all the women that are out there, we always say you want to walk into a room, you want to build the floor. You want to put up the walls and put on the roof and leave the door open for your sisters behind you. But it's also okay to have allies along the way. And I have one of the best in the business. And I hope that you find your allies and your tribe is also here with She's Got Time.